What's up guys, this is going to be a bit of a mentality tip. This one's related to mindfulness meditation, so if you don't know what that's about then you're probably not subscribed to the newsletter because I talked about it not too long ago I think. But yeah, this is somewhat related to mindfulness meditation and doing mindful breathing before official solves, or even unofficial solves for that matter, because this is how I've been doing that the past couple of weeks since I haven't been competing as much. You don't need to meditate for this to work, you can just use like visualization I guess, but I think it works better if you do the mindfulness meditation. I'm not going to go into the details of why mindfulness meditation is good for cubing, let alone, your life. It's very well researched, you can figure that out for yourself. But something I've been implementing recently that I think is really useful is visualizing while I meditate before a solve. I visualize myself getting an average time, or even a slightly worse than average time. So for me at 3x3, I'm around the sub 8 area. On a good day, I'm about 7.5 or less. On a bad day, probably not quite sub 8. But the idea is before doing a solve, I will just visualize myself getting like a 7.9. Like I just have that image in my mind. And what I found is that by having that like mental image in my mind, it doesn't necessarily help me get better singles. What it does do is it tends to prevent quote-unquote bad solves that just shouldn't be happening. So for example, officially, if you've looked at my results, I'm pretty inconsistent, and I think part of it is that sometimes I get ahead of myself, or I push myself too hard to get sixes, even though I don't, average 6. I shouldn't get 6s without a bit of luck, or, just a really, really, really solid solve, which isn't going to happen every time. That's just not how it works. Felix doesn't get 5s every solve. I'm not going to get 6s every solve. It's just not how it goes. So by visualizing myself getting, an average time, a time that is realistic, say 7.9, and actually being okay with it, because I would rather get faster solves than 7.9s, but like getting a 7.9 in the context of an average is a hell of a lot better than getting a counting 9 or a counting 8, which is a bit of a personal problem I've been having recently when I compete. So I'm finding in my unofficial practice when I do this, I tend to get it's not that I get way more 6s or 7s, it's that I get way less like 8s or 9s where I'm just like clearly fucking up, and it's just like solves that should not be happening for my speed. Unless it's like a really bad scramble or I make a really big mistake. And mistakes do happen, but I find this like little mentality trick is really taking a lot of the pressure off, for me at least. So yeah, if you've tried the mindfulness meditation breathing stuff, give it a go. And if you haven't, you could try just visualizing the solve and not doing it with, meditation. I think it could work as well. But I think doing it with meditation is just that much better, because it's meditation. Again, look into the benefits for yourself. There's many, many, many benefits to it. And it's something a lot of athletes do practice in all kinds of sports, even, like soccer, football, that kind of stuff. So that's all I have for this video. The last thing I want to mention is that in a couple days, probably 1 or 2 days, I'm going to be releasing an email that I'm pretty happy about. It's for people who, they care about cubing and they want to improve at cubing, obviously, because, if you're watching this channel, you know about my newsletter, or you're subscribed to the newsletter, you probably care about getting better at cubing. But you don't feel like you have the time to do that. You feel like your life is a bit busy, maybe you like to prioritize going to the gym, maybe you have a social life. I hope you have a social life. You work a job, maybe you have to, make food, do this or that. You just find yourself, you're not having enough time to really practice cubing and really make the practice count. So the next email I'm releasing for the newsletter is, again, coming out in a couple of days. It'll be on that topic and giving you guys some practical suggestions depending on your situation. Whether you're in the situation where, you have only like half an hour a day to cube, or if you have several hours a day to cube but you still don't feel like you have enough time, or you feel like you're not using those hours well. It'll be pretty helpful, I think. So that's what's to come. That's all I got for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.